We're ready.
All right, so give me your name first and last.
Alec Azar.
Alec, can you do me a favor? Can you just turn your body a little bit this way? Yeah, right there.
All right, so give me your name first and last.
My name is Brooke Hudson.
Rolling. Ready.
All right, so first things first, give me your name first and last.
I'm Billy Kopicki.
All right, speeding. Ready.
All right, so first things first, give me your name first and last.
Alyssa Hamilton.
Okay. And tell me, so ARP, what does that stand for?
For the better part of 2 centuries of education in the United States, school is something that's largely happened to kids. And that has been the fundamental experience of school. And it was really, progressive thinkers about education have always found something really wrong with students having this supposedly transformative moment in their life be something entirely passive. And so at University Liggett School, we came at it with the approach of how can we make school stop happening to kids and make school start mattering to kids.
I think Liggett is an extraordinary place, and it's extraordinary for a lot of reasons, but I would put right at top of the list, it's the academic research program.
The story of ARP really begins with the story of what we didn't want to do. If you go back a decade at University Liggett School, we had a lot of advanced placement classes like in lots of other schools, and we were increasingly dissatisfied with the experiences our kids were having in those classes. And so my predecessor, Joe Healy, made the bold decision to move AP classes away. Let's get rid of them. Let's fill that space with something meaningful. And through that work, and through some good work with the folks at Harvard, the idea of the academic research program was born.
Our head of school at the time had a vision in which every student has a passion, and if that student has a passion, they're going to want to learn more about the topic.
And I think even more importantly than that, they take something they're passionate about, and then once they really dig into it, maybe they realize like, oh, actually this isn't quite what I thought it was, or this really small little offshoot of it is actually what I'm really interested in, and then that turns into a bigger thing.
It's a messy process, we understand that, and that's as it should be. But after that, you've got choice, and then you've got voice. Where do you want to take it, and what do you want to do with it, both in terms of intellectual curiosity and then what do you want to do?
And so the project was designed as a 4-year sequence, starting in the 9th grade to give the students the skills to passionately investigate a topic of their choosing.
Freshman year, you're learning research and you're learning how to do research the correct way. We just basically learn basic research skills, and then they slowly develop more and more, more technically throughout the years.
It may seem overwhelming, but the teachers that we have here working with us for ARP, they help us a lot, and it's stress-free. Everybody has different topics that they want to research, and you just kind of worry about yourself, and you get excited about your topic and other people's discoveries.
I think that most kids that go through school don't get an opportunity like this to pick a topic and spend part of your whole senior year pursuing it. And I mean, you get to pick whatever you want and whatever interests you, and I just think that's very important to find who you are and what you want to pursue in your life.
So what interests you? What interests Alec?
Tough question.
My biggest question is, what do you like to do? Do you like to draw? Do you like to read? Do you like to build? Do you like to throw a football? What is it? And how are we going to combine that doing with the academic portion of it? And it could be anything.
I want to base my question around sports and injuries and muscles and how to get those better quicker.
Well, when I first came into the program, I was thinking about my project and what I was doing, and I was thinking one of my big interests is dance, so I think I might do something with that. Or I'm also really interested in Spanish and the Spanish culture, so that as well.
I'm really interested in the arts, music and dry media art, and I like English. I like to write, creative writing.
I don't know, maybe something with sports, sports like psychology, or I don't know, there's so many options, so it's somewhat overwhelming.
When you see the juniors and the seniors this year working on their projects, again, is it overwhelming, or is it kind of cool to get inspired by them and see them kind of further along in the process and tackling their stuff hands-on?
I think it is kind of overwhelming thinking that that's going to be us in like a very small amount of time, but it's also really interesting to see how they have developed from 9th grade and kind of like inspiring because I want to follow in their footsteps and do what they did, so.
In ARP 9, they kind of develop those base skills. In ARP 10, we really try to hone those and refine those skills. We do that by incorporating ARP into our US history class. So it takes a class that already existed and then takes those ARP skills and puts them as a foundation of that class. And so the interesting part about our ARP 10 course is that it specifically focuses on a place-based history with Detroit as the sense of place.
Instead of sitting in our classroom and reading about the places that we're learning about, it makes it feel more real. We can say, oh, this actually happened. These people, these lives were actually affected in this way. And it makes us want to learn about these things more than just getting a grade.
We're actually going out and physically observing places. That helps a lot of kids create new questions, and it makes them more curious to find those answers.
Last year we spent a lot of time just finding a way to compile research and find credible sources, especially to then prepare us for that larger project we have to do through 11th and 12th grade.
I got a lot of really good research skills that I've been able to use throughout last year in my history classes and now. And we've learned how to cite sources properly and how to find good sources, not like bad ones that will not help our research.
I'm looking forward to actually getting a question because in 9th and 10th grade, we gather all this research and we learn how to create a question and a paper, but actually being able to do it in 11th and 12th grade it's pretty exciting.
First few weeks of junior year are spent browsing topics from magazines and literature and online to say there's a range of ideas out there and you might find one that is really fascinating to you, and so be open to that. So that's the formal way that we do it. Informally, we have a rich community of adult connections. And when you have those connections, the sorts of conversations that result are conversations about the sort of world of possibilities as it relates to curiosity in their academic lives.
They write a prospectus which contains their goals and their relevance to what they want to do and their purpose.
They really wanted us to talk to our community. I mean, talk to your family, talk to your friends. And I was talking to one of my coaches, my baseball coaches, one day, and he was getting a shoulder surgery, and he was talking about maybe getting this synthetic spider silk in his arm. And that led me to that night researching it, and then I fell in love with the topic. I went to one of my teachers the next day, and they thought it was really interesting. So, I mean, it was something that I never thought I'd be researching, but I'm having a lot of fun with it right now.
I was really pretty uncertain the last couple of years, but I think being pressed to really like evaluate myself and think about what I'm interested in, that helped me narrow it down to, people and like how they feel and also like medicine. So right now, the current rendition of my question is how I can cure Huntington's disease with a new form of medical gene editing.
In our family, her grandmother had Alzheimer's. And so I think that she looked at those diseases that are somehow unknown on many levels in terms of how we treat them and how we approach the research.
I'd say that we're good at allowing students to either follow their nose or follow the breadcrumbs. So if they're interested in a topic, as they read more about it, okay, is there a subtopic that really fascinates you? Oh, here's something that you mentioned that was really interesting to me. Have you thought about that? And when students are open and invested and curious, they can often navigate through maybe a topic that's too broad or a topic that doesn't feel right to the one that's right for them.
My big passion right now, I'm looking at mental health because I feel like in this day and age specifically, it's like a really big issue, and I know a lot of people who struggle from it, and it's like a very common issue that not a lot of people talk about, and it's just something that needs to be more, or like we need to like get rid of the stigma around it. My project is looking at mental health resources and like services and programs in high schools, and right now I'm kind of looking at the lack thereof and like the factors that contribute to that. And I'm gonna try to pick one service or one program to implement into Liggett's like curriculum and like see how we can help the most amount of kids.
I think at first, when I came in my freshman year, I was kind of like, oh, what is this for? Why do I need this? And now when we're really in the full swing of things, I'm reading big articles, I need to write annotations and things like that. I mean, I had learned those skills prior to now, and I do see that it has really helped me and made this process a lot easier. Right now, my topic is the craft beer industry and how it is revitalizing the city of Detroit. And initially, this was the last thing I thought I was going to do, but I had researched things about baseball. I mean, I love baseball. It's something I play all year round, and I don't know, I kind of wanted to venture off and explore something that wasn't so personal to me, and so yeah, right now I'm all about craft beer.
All across the board, no matter who the student is, there's always growth there. So I think at the beginning they come in as freshmen and they maybe don't understand what ARP is really about, and it's a lot of like, why do I have to learn how to do these citations? Why do I have to, it's a lot of like, why do I have to do this? But then by the time they're seniors, those things just become second nature, which is really nice to see, and then they just do things that you would do as a researcher.
Any topic can be deeply academic, it can be deeply rigorous, and it can be deeply meaningful to the right audience. And so we spend a lot of time talking about, what have you learned? Who cares about what you have learned? And how can you communicate what you have learned, what you have developed, what you have, this new analysis that you're bringing to a topic? What's the right audience and how can you communicate that message?
And the whole idea is presentation, paper, product. And that product can be something artistic, it can be a piece of music, it could be an internship somewhere in a lab, it could be a teaching opportunity. It really just depends on what the student wants to do.
I think what it makes students realize is that we're all very multifaceted. You can be academic, you can be athletic, you can be scientific or mathematic or whatever it is all at once. I think it encourages that and gives the students an opportunity to really figure out where their interests lie other than their normal day-to-day.
We love kids that are actually getting their hands dirty, making projects, going into the lab, making books, installation art pieces.
You're not really told by an adult to go research something, and I think that makes students feel a little more free to choose what they actually want. And with me, I've gone super excessive. And so you do have that opportunity to go super wild with whatever you want to do, something that's really important to you. And it doesn't feel like homework or an assignment.
There are so many cool projects this year. I feel like our class has created a lot of more outside the box projects. We have Hope Kolka's project, who she's creating a project looking at feminist sci-fi art, and she created this whole interactive installation. And I mean, talk about really being able to immerse someone into something and really creating more empathy like that. So her project's absolutely amazing. Probably the most complex project I've seen done at this school.
I think that my project definitely is like my entire soul in one piece, because when I was developing my question, I wanted to take everything that I care about and put it into one thing. And so I wanted to combine world politics and art and science fiction, and so I feel like every aspect of this project is something that I care about really deeply.
I think the greatest satisfaction out of this project is just getting to tell people about it, and people really saying, oh, I never thought about it like that. And so I guess creating that awareness and having those conversations are probably one of the most important parts of the project.
At the end of the day, it's all about how we work with and collaborate with people. So often the academic world pits students against one another, but then once everybody graduates and once everybody's working, it's about collaboration and working together.
Brooke was actually in my class where we researched together, so I had kind of heard about her project before, and then when I said I was doing the lab, she was like, oh, we could do it together because we have similar things. So we prepped for the lab together and we worked on that together. So it was really good to have someone to do that alongside with rather than just doing it by myself. And I think that having her there also allowed me to learn more about her project and connect it to mine.
As a freshman and even into sophomore year, originally my stance was to convince people why we should incorporate CRISPR into society. And as I got more wind of the negative kind of reviews and attitudes internationally, I had to kind of step back and go, well, maybe not why we should have CRISPR, but maybe why we should consider it and the pros and cons that we definitely should weigh.
She had done terrific research in the background for CRISPR and understood Huntington's inside and out. And so for me, her ARP-12 experience was a little bit less about the research and a little bit less about understanding her field, and a little bit more about developing communication skills and presentation skills.
I personally really enjoy podcasts and other types of like animation like TEDx and TED-Ed. So I thought, what would be something that's accessible to people who aren't necessarily looking for a lesson, but they still want to learn something new, something bite-sized. And I thought maybe a short podcast might be the best way to do that. I think there's a sense of empowerment that I was able to contribute to an academic conversation that people my age probably don't usually get to contribute to. It was really fun to do.
I think Brooke is a very thoughtful introvert on many levels, and now I see that confidence has made her more verbal in terms of her beliefs and her inner constitution, who she is as a person. And I think that maturity in terms of how she communicates, who she is to other people, the confidence that she displays and how she articulates, that has definitely grown.
All of these kids, I think, as freshmen, they were so quiet and unassuming, a little bit nervous. I think they had a quiet confidence, but they weren't sure. And to see them now, as I walked around earlier when they were presenting to their peers, I wanted to cry because it just made me so proud of each and every one of them. The perseverance they had, the patience they had. This takes a lot of patience. I mean, to culminate in a project of 18 months, it can be tough for grown adults, let alone 17 and 18-year-old kids. So I'm just really proud of all of them.
I'm very passionate about sports, but I learned to create a new passion, and that is my project now, which is DNA replication, and ultimately getting into my project, which is a new material, synthetic spider silk. So I think it's really cool how I didn't know anything about this project at first, and now I have a passion to keep on learning about it and keep on understanding how they produce this material.
Billy and I talk all the time, so we know, I know what's going on with his project, and so it was just nice, though, to see him give this presentation to people, and he was just really knowledgeable about it. He really knows about this, which was pretty cool to see.
I remember when he came home to talk about ARP, and he had some ideas of what he wanted to work on, but he was all over the map. And I think, getting back to the critical thinking and the skill set of just being able to develop some thoughts and ideas, and then eventually some strategies and a vision, that's what I've noticed, and that's what I mean about maturity. Billy can gather his thoughts now. He can question. He is just, he's intellectually curious. And I think Liggett has provided that for him, or at least enabled him to understand he's capable of doing what he wants to do. And he has that self-esteem and confidence to do that.
That's the beauty of ARP. I mean, you can really go any which way you want with this project, and that's what's so neat about it. My 9th grade self would probably be a little shocked and I think amazed with what I've done over the past 4 years.
I remember seeing all the seniors' projects, and I was kind of scared because I didn't think, I was like, how can someone research the same topic for so long? I feel like you'd get bored of it. And then all the ideas that I had when I was a freshman, I didn't really stick with any of them, because at first I wanted to research something into dance or Spanish, because those are 2 things that I was interested in at the time. And my project has nothing to do with either of those now. Looking back at when I started my question 2nd semester junior year, it doesn't even feel like that long that I've been researching this. I've just learned so much about my topic that it's just interesting to think about that it's only been a year and a half, but I feel kind of like an expert on it, I guess.
I think Alyssa's project is really cool, and I find it especially impressive that she's able to make this mark on the school and have kind of a legacy here. And I think that it's really impressive that she was actually able to get this space made, and I think that it's going to be beneficial to a lot of students.
When I finally found a space that I wanted to use for my room, I kind of created a list of all the elements that I wanted to include, but I didn't really know how to arrange them or place them in the room specifically. So then I thought of Maddie, another student in my class who was working on feng shui and color therapy in her project about bedroom design. And I realized that our projects really went hand in hand together, and that'd be a really interesting collaboration for us to do.
I wanted something that people could look at and touch and things like that, and I had always been interested in interior design, so that's how I got to my topic, which is how does the interior design of a teenager's bedroom affect their mood. So working with her this year has been really interesting in how she's creating a meditation room for the school and how the things that I'm implementing in the ideal bedroom for a teenager, how they overlap. And it's been really cool to kind of work with her and see how everything can fall into place when working together.
And after narrowing down topics for so long, finally having something that I really loved and really wanted to research was it was great.
I think for Alyssa, this academic research program has really made her a confident, strong individual woman that I think she would have been anyways, but I think this helps her give the confidence that with her, along with any student here, it really shows that they can do whatever they set their mind to.
Being that young little freshman, I was definitely nervous, coming into it, but I think with all these great teachers at Liggett, they've helped me, become the person that I am today, and by the end of it, I don't know, I feel so much more comfortable, going at it on my own.
Being a student athlete, he initially thought he might go the athletic route in some way, shape, or form, and then I think he sort of realized maybe this is an opportunity to really go out of my comfort zone and explore a topic that otherwise I might not have an opportunity to do.
I was, speaking with some of the teachers at my school, and my physics teacher, old physics teacher, Mr. Brunner, actually put me in touch with this couple who were starting up a new brewery called Brewery Faison in downtown Detroit across from the entrance to Belle Isle. Mr. and Mrs. Slaga, the owners of Brewery Faison, were extremely helpful to me, whether it be, understanding, the impacts a brewery can have on an area, or, letting me come see the construction that's going on downtown. I think that's the really neat part about it, is that, sometimes you think you know what you want to do, but, you could end up at something completely different and absolutely love it, and that's what happened to me.
I came here when Alec was in 4th grade, and he was a quiet, young, small little 4th grade boy, and it's just amazing. I told his mom just the other day how amazing it is to be able to see him and have him have a conversation where he's a full-grown man talking about what he's doing, and how have a conversation about the revitalization of Detroit and how he can be a part of it. And that's a perfect example of what Liggett does here. It takes kids that it teaches them that they can change the world if they want.
That is the journey, and that is the beauty of not just the academic research program, but the beauty of the University Liggett School journey, is that they arrive freshman year, and we joke they're still middle schoolers in many ways, and they can't even conceive that this is something that's possible, because those seniors that they're interacting with seem so much older and seem so much more confident and seem so much smarter, and yet reliably over the course of 4 years, they go from a slightly shy, perhaps underconfident 9th grader to a senior researcher who's standing proudly and representing their topic in a way that's deep and meaningful and supremely confident. And it's a beautiful journey, and it's one that it's not magic, it's intention. And what you see over the course of this is a human being growing up. It's not this kind of scholar in a vacuum. You see a kid become a young adult, and it's really meaningful and it's really powerful.
I read on a pamphlet about this kid who built a go-kart that was powered. It basically, when you braked, it took the energy and stored it as compressed air, and it helped to run the go-kart, so it saved energy, and I thought that was really cool. He's always been my idol.
As a kid, you really figure out yourself by persevering and by being consistent with what you're interested in. And having interest and passion are great, but also having a sense of completion is a lot better. And when you meet that goal, it's the best feeling in the world.
It's an opportunity for a person to really chase their dreams, and like nowadays a lot of kids don't, so it's a unique opportunity, I feel. And that's kind of why I came to Liggett.
To hear them give each other constructive, positive feedback, that's pure and utter pride and joy, just to watch them do that. They help each other out, and I think, to me, watching them up there with them telling their stories with an immense sense of pride. This is them. This is all them wanting to showcase everything that they've done and can't wait to do it the next day.
And to me, if at the end of a school year we can say that the work a student has done, the work a senior has done in the academic research program deeply mattered to them and matters in the greater world, then we've created something that's fundamentally different. We have changed the nature of school, and that's really exciting.